So the next challenge was because when we started after the lockdown, the ridership had really come down drastically. Before COVID, we were carrying around 35 lakh passengers, and post COVID, it was reduced to around 50,000. And but gradually it increased up to 13 lakh. So just prior to this lockdown, we were carrying around 13 lakh passengers. That goes to show that Bangaloreans still have faith in BMTC, and they still consider BMTC as their primary mode of transportation. And it is still much lower than what we used to carry earlier. But yes, due to this epidemic, it will take its own time for people to get back to public transport. It's a huge challenge which we are facing now, and we have to take proper precautions and proper dissemination of information so that our commuters are aware that it is very safe to take the public transport, provided that they also take the due caution, that is wearing of masks, maintaining social distancing. Especially we have seen that while boarding and getting out of buses, there is a lot of crowding. So one has to ensure that our safety is in our hands. So we have to ensure that while boarding the bus, there will always be a next bus. We have because when we started after lockdown, we had planned for 1,500 buses, but looking at the crowding, we had increased up to 2,500 buses already. So we are keeping more buses on road, though the number of passengers are very less. We were putting all our buses in operation to ensure that social distancing is ensured. That's why we have taken to taking more buses on road. Our revenue has also come down drastically. Running buses in these crises is actually leading to more losses. In fact, we will make lesser loss if we don't run bus. But as you know, that it's a public service and it's a public transport which has to be provided. So with the due support from government, we have been doing that. Now coming to the bigger question of what happens when once normalcy returns, the challenges will still remain. As you have correctly pointed out, for a population of 1.2 crore, we are having 80 lakh private vehicles. And the major first thing which comes to one's mind when they talk about Bangalore is the Bangalore traffic. We are quite notorious about our traffic. It has led to snail space in roads, and the major reason for that is people taking to private transportation, which reduces the speed of buses also drastically. If you see over the years, the speed of bus has also come down. We are all aware that bus carries as many passengers as maybe even 70-75 normal time. So obviously the crowding on road, traffic on road can be substantially reduced if we take public transport, and that should be the main agenda. We should aggressively push for public transport. And when I talk about public transport, it's not just buses, it is also the metro and suburban and other modes of public transport which are available in Bangalore city, including shared cabs. For that, we have also planned to integrate well with other modes of transportation. We are doing this project with the Bangalore Metro, where we are providing 90 metro feeder services for exclusively for metro routes, so that where the metro station is there, from there to interior areas, we will be providing services in smaller buses, and preferably those would be electric buses. And it would be also have an integrated fare collection mechanism. So once a person buys metro ticket, they don't have to buy the BMTC ticket. So that is also planned. Along with that, we are also trying to tie up with even bike companies, because again, bikes are also a very healthy and pollution-free mode of transportation. Similarly, we are also trying this fare integration overall with metro through NCMC card. Coming back to fare collection, in COVID time also, it was very important for us to ensure that there is contactless mechanism of fare collection. For that, we have introduced QR codes in all the buses. That was the immediate step one could. So any UPI based, if someone is having a UPI based app in their phone, they can take through digital mechanism. And taking it forward, we also plan to integrate it with NCMC card metro. So these are some of the things which we have done. And obviously for increasing the share of public transport, it is also very important that the fleet size in Bangalore is increased. Right now we are having 6,200 buses, including the Volvo. And ideally for this kind of population, we should have somewhere around 10 to 12,000 buses, and which is planned in this budget. But again, this COVID has hit us badly. So what happens further is yet to be seen. And a bigger fleet will obviously mean more buses on the road and more frequency and people having more confidence. And obviously that could lead to a behavioral change, and people may come back to BMTC, because at one point of time we were carrying 50 lakh passengers and now it has dropped down to 35 lakh. So if the frequency is increased, obviously behavioral change would be there. And one very important aspect would be that people should know when their bus is coming and what route it is taking and what route they want to go, so that they can plan their journey accordingly. For that also, we are already having an app, but we are coming up with a newer and a better version of the app, which is integrated with again other sources of transportation, so that an overall planning of the journey can be done by the passenger. Thank you, Ray.
Okay, so that's great. In fact, Shikha, when will this integrated system of having one card which allows you to take the fare, both the metro and the bus together, when is that going to happen? And also, when can we expect that, we can do an integrated route planning, which means take a bike to the bus stop, from the bus go to the metro station, reach the metro, and then alight, and then complete your entire journey end to end? When can we see something like that happening?
So integrated planning, maybe in less than 2 months, one should be able to do that. It would be an immediate thing, but integration with metro, since it's the dual agencies are involved, and in this we are already in touch with metro and we have planned out the RFP. So it may take around say 3 months or so, but only with the kind of coordination which is required along with metro.
So we could imagine a situation where we could have some integrated planning with even bikes to get to the bus stop, right? That will also prevent a lot of people from using their own vehicles to get to the station. Of course, all this is assuming, things return to normalcy and COVID situations are more under control.
Yes, and for that we have already taken to data sharing with some of these companies. We are already having an open data policy and sharing this data with the cycle companies who have come forward, and that should not be an issue. That is also in pipeline, and that should also come about quickly as soon as normalcy returns. These are some things which you will be seeing happening on field.
This is really truly exciting, and it's unfortunate that COVID has been a little bit of a dampener. We were all so excited to see a lot of these things in the works, but I'm sure we will recover. Anyway, BMTC is one of the best managed bus services in the country, and a lot of effort is going in. My next question is to Shaheen from the Bus Prayanika Vedike. Shaheen, you know that the hardest hit in this COVID scenario has been the most vulnerable sections of population. People like you and me, all of us have options. If we feel we don't want to take the risk at this point, we have the choice. But some of these people don't even have a choice. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're hearing, and what should be some of the steps that we should take to ensure that these people who have absolutely no option are safe, and their lack of option doesn't lead to an unsafe situation for them?
Yeah, thank you, Revati, and thank you, Shikha, for sharing the initiatives that BMTC has been taking. So from Bus Prayanika Vedike, we have been trying to get a sense of how people are using the bus and what are the issues that they are facing. And we've been interacting primarily with the various working class unions and community groups that we are in touch with. And while this may not be something that can be generalized, we do hear a lot of concerns about frequency being low and waiting time being high, because there is also a capacity limit in the buses. We are not buses are not running to full capacity, so because of which multiple buses, even if the buses are there, the waiting time increases because you cannot board a full bus. Then we are also hearing issues, and I think, like Shikha said, number of buses that are running now are fewer. Therefore, there are many areas where people are also saying that they have connectivity issues. They're not getting buses. Overcrowding is also being reported. While we are saying that we're trying to control the intake. I mean, there are people who are also saying that the buses are overcrowded. There is a fear of infection that people are talking about. So these are, I mean, if you look at the current and immediate issues that we are hearing from commuters and general public, I mean, these are the issues that we see, and we feel that despite this being a pandemic and despite the ridership being low, probably we need to look at increasing buses so that the frequency can be more reliable. Then again, ridership can increase because of that, and people will be able to access their workplaces, etc., better. Then another thing that we probably need to look at is how we can improve the safety measures for commuters also. I mean, some of the things that we had earlier also suggested was installing hand sanitizers for commuters at the point of entry. Plus probably more widely publicizing the safety protocols that BMTC is following. Like, say for instance, are we sanitizing the bus every few hours, or are we sanitizing after every few trips, or what is the sort of frequency in which sanitization is being done? So these kind of things are not known in general. If that can be publicized, I think the perception of safety also will improve much further. And then I think scheduling is also something that we need to look at. Scheduling needs to be reliable. I mean, it's okay if frequency is low, like, but at least, it needs to be reliable and known. People should be able to predict the availability that, in such and such time the bus will come and I'm able to take the bus and go. Because again, waiting times ranging from 30 minutes to 2 hours is being talked by different people. So of course the 2 hours may be an exception, and probably during afternoons and things like that, but even 30-40 minutes of waiting time is really high for people to have a reliable transport. So these are some of the current issues that we are hearing. And another big thing that we also want to highlight is about how are we assessing the current mobility needs. I mean, see, earlier the 45 lakh or even the 35 lakh passengers we had and what routes they were taking is probably not reflective of the needs that exist right now. So that is another thing that we need to look at, because the situation is probably going to continue for many more months. I mean, we're not really seeing a solution in sight in terms of the pandemic situation easing. So we should plan for a longer time when the situation might sustain. So looking at how do we reach the people who are currently not being reached by BMTC, people who are dependent on BMTC for transport. We don't really know, we don't have a full understanding of what are their needs, where are they living and where are they commuting to. So some effort needs to be taken to assess the needs also, and probably redeploy to cater to the more immediate and essential needs that BMTC should be serving. So these are some of the sort of immediate measures that we see that are needed. I also just want to add a few more points in terms of framing the issue of transport. I mean, see, we've been talking a lot about technical issues and operational issues, but can we also frame this as an issue of rights and access to the city? So what does a public transport do? I mean, a public transport actually enables people's right to city. I mean, in a way, right to access the city, and this is essential for all kinds of needs. I mean, whether it is education or health or livelihood, this is the public transport becomes really an essential enabler for people to be able to access and live well in the city. And current situation, this because of the economic crisis, this is even more accentuated because people who are trying to get to their work, already jobs are being lost, and salaries are being cut, etc. And the working class is already suffering. And on top of that, if mobility is also curtailed, then their access to livelihood itself becomes constrained, and that is a even more crucial situation right now that we need to focus on. And therefore, designing the bus to serve the essential needs of that community which is making the city function. I mean, whether it is our street vendors, or whether it is the parakarmikas, whether it is our garment workers or construction workers, all of them are continuing to access and go to work. I mean, and bus is what is one of the central things that provide that access. So that framing the issue as enabling access to people at a unsafe time, and providing that safe and reliable access, I think becomes the most important framing we feel at a time like this, and beyond also. So it's not just about reducing congestion, or reducing traffic, improving the health conditions, or reducing pollution. These are all ways in which we frame the public transport issue. But we also want to remind everyone that this is it is primarily and first and foremost an issue of enabling access to city. So that becomes a very crucial angle that we would like to highlight. A couple more things.
Thanks.
I mean,
we'll come back to you, Shaheen, because we have other people. So. Thank you, Shaheen. Shikha, would you like to respond to some of these issues? For example, the most vulnerable are the people who are struggling for livelihood today because of lack of transport. And have you looked at repurposing the buses for some of these people? I don't know how they were traveling. They would have been traveling by buses, but a special attention to see, because a lot of the people who are traveling to larger offices are all working from home, but the most vulnerable are the people having to go to their workplaces. So have you done any study about the immediate change in pattern of the people who are traveling and most likely to use the bus because of no other option?
We have done this kind of flow pattern where the traffic origin point and destination point is, and according to that only we have been scheduling our buses. So you would see that schedules are not static based on what we were doing in May, say February, March, and what we are doing now is totally different. So the current demand pattern has been studied in principle, and accordingly we have tried to provide buses, and even frequency is dependent on that. So if you see during peak time, there is huge, and peak time, that is only morning time, office time, going time and returning time in the evening, there is huge crowd, whereas during daytime, otherwise in afternoon, the number of frequency has been drastically reduced because obviously there are no takers for the bus. So the current, and simultaneously we have also kept in mind the increasing diesel cost. So it is useless to run empty kilometers when there are no passengers in the afternoon. So based on the demand pattern, the new scheduling has been done. I agree with Shaheen when she says certain pockets could be left out. But since it is a very fluid situation, right now it is a very dynamic situation, it is ever changing. So those things also have to be taken into account while scheduling the buses. And also coming to Shaheen's very valid point that vulnerable section and their paying capacity. This is one thing which obviously we and government have to collectively look into. Like Delhi has also come up with certain programs of certain schemes of free travel for women. For Bangalore, what we have done till now is there is free travel for construction laborers, and the amount is cross-subsidized by Labor Department. And this year also government has given a scheme of free transport for garment women workers. These are a few sections, and along with that there are certain pensioner categories who get this benefit. So there are a few categories which get this benefit of free travel or subsidized travel. But there are certain other vulnerable sections who are not in any of these schemes. So yes, that is something which at policy level one has to look at. And coming to the point of last mile connectivity, and I could also go through some of the queries in the chat box where they are talking about insurance cover to the our staff and our crew. So for BMTC, what facilities we are providing to our crew till now? 176 of our crew were affected by COVID, and most of them have already recovered and are back. So, and they are also availing of home isolation facility. We are taking care of their medical expenses, and for home isolation, we are providing them with a kit consisting of pulse oximeter, thermometer, and sanitizers, gloves, and masks, and all the provisions to keep them safe and so that they don't transmit it to their caretakers. These are some of the things, and obviously, God forbid, in eventuality of any death, we have announced a compensation of 30 lakh rupees. So these are some of the measures taken for safety of our crew.
Okay, thank you, Shikha. We'll now move to Sonal, who has been looking at planning. And Sonal, can we hear from you? And we'll come back to Shikha after that on the bus priority lane as one of the key elements to ensure that buses move faster. Of course, that is again a more medium-term requirement. But can you talk a little bit about what is the kind of planning and thinking that is going into it, as well as what are the experiences world over? We have found that public transport has suffered a lot in this pandemic. And I happened to listen to a different analogy, but I was listening to the Delta CEO, and he was saying that he doesn't expect to fill his middle seat for the next foreseeable future till such time he believes that air travel is completely safe. So and they're having a chief medical officer and a whole bunch of things that to bring back confidence in air travel. So when air travel, which is a little bit more rarefied, is itself looking at so many things, bus travel is more prone to a whole host of risks. So what kind of planning are you all looking at? Have you all done some study on what international experiences are there, and are there some best practices that we can follow? So two questions. One is on safety, the other is on bus priority lanes and the plans for the city.
Yeah, thank you, Revati, and hi everyone. So basically on your first question about safety, world over, actually, as you said, the buses and public transport have suffered the most due to this pandemic, and many cities have taken the initiative to actually, while they unlock, bring in the public transport. If you see London, for example, they have actually said that they cannot do with more cars on the street at this moment when there is this pandemic. So they have ensured that they enhance their frequency of buses and also provide the metro services at a regular basis, and along with all the social distancing measures, which I think BMTC is already taking care of. But along with this, many cities have actually seen this as an opportunity to make shift in the behavior changes of people by providing more infrastructure to also shift people towards non-motorized transport, mostly cycling. So a lot of cities are giving emphasis towards providing pop-up bicycle lanes and bicycle infrastructure. Like you see Paris, for example, around 650 kilometers, the mayor of Paris has actually promised and is building 650 kilometers of bicycle tracks across the city. And same with London. These are all pop-up lanes, and you see that when you build this infrastructure, people come. right? We are seeing a lot of bicycle users in London using the infrastructure that is being built by the Mayor of London as well. So I think along with the bus, we also need to also give equal importance to cycling, because this is the time and this is the opportunity to make people have that shift and make that shift. And if you see, even in Bangalore, there has been a lot of buying of cycles that is happening, and people are right now using these cycles because gyms are closed and people want to use this for their health purposes. But we can also we can also see that this shift can happen if the infrastructure is built at this period of time. So that's on the what is happening world over. Coming to the bus priority lane, I think BMTC took a wonderful step last year, I think in October, November, to actually make ORR as a bus priority lane on the outer ring road as a pilot, and then also build all the high density corridors, 12 high density corridors, same infrastructure, which is the bus priority lane. So what the priority provides is it gives that equity to a transport mode which is actually catering to more number of people than a car which is providing only mobility to 1 or 2 people or 4 at the max. So that equity was really important, and I'm very glad that Bangalore City took this step. Actually, DALT had done a plan for doing bus only lane, actually BRTS, on the same corridor, that is the outer ring road, but that did not take shape, and I'm glad that this happened now and not later on. So during the planning, I think the most importance was given to how the bus priority, where the bus priority lane will come on this whole stretch of road. And we decided to go with the leftmost lane near the curb side on the main carriageway. Just because we know that the metro is going to come tomorrow, and we don't want to we don't want to make a plan which will not cater to that coming in the future. And then we also went ahead and sort of saw where the diverging and where the merges will happen, right? So where do we provide the merging sections? So when a car has to, or when a bus has to go from not a bus, but a car has to merge from the service lane onto the ORR, the main carriageway, where does it do it? It shouldn't be given too many opportunities to do this merging, because then the priority of the bus lane itself goes away. So these were certain points that we took into consideration while doing the planning of the bus priority lane.